What up, everybody? It's episode 120 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown, February 26, 2023. And we're going to go over, I don't know if you want to call it UFC Fight Night Spann Krylov. I don't know if you want to call it Andre Muniz versus Brendan Allen. I do know that we're going to lead Paul versus Will Fleury.
Snake Paul, there you go. Yeah, so I'll just front and foremost just talk about I didn't watch 1 second of this fight.
Oh, no.
I'm surprised at the outcome. Oh, did you lose me?
I did for a second. I think we're back. I think we're good. Sorry, let's get it off the bat now. Harrison is miles away from a tornado, and the weather, you know anything about Oklahoma weather, he's going through it right now. So if the connection gets choppy, and then as for these goggles, just don't mind me, okay?
he's just vibing, all right, people at
I'm just
home.
vibing.
It's a vibe, and don't be a vibe killer. God damn, Kinder teach you nothing. Now,
I'll drink to that.
yeah, Coors Lights to Michelob's. We'll drink around the world for that one. Now, on the other hand, what I was saying is I didn't watch 1 second of the fight, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Maybe like a whole bottle of salt. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. I was working. And even if I wasn't working, I definitely wouldn't have bought it. May have streamed it, if I just didn't have shit to do. But you know what? Because I'll be real, it's not even Jake Paul hate. It was like the call by his real name, Tommy Fury. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, Will Fleury. And like, did the Tommy Fury matchup didn't intrigue me? Now we'll get to it. Maybe it should have. But there was just I didn't see what the angle was. All the other ones, the MMA fighters, the Nate Robinson, there was some kind of like sideshow angle. And it was kind of like worst of both worlds because he was trying to check the boxer box, but he was a boxer nobody really gave a shit about and kind of a fugazi boxer. So it's like it was like worst of both worlds. Like before, you'd have at least the name of an MMA fighter, and yeah, people may bitch and complain that it's not a real boxer, but you're going to tune in. There's a storyline. There's a hook there. There's an angle there.
And the interest to see like people consider MMA guys' skills like pretty solid, or at least they know how to fight. So for them, they're
Yeah,
like, well, how good is their singular skill? Like they want to see them not mix the martial arts and unmix them. You know what I mean? Like there's an interest in just that alone. I think.
for sure, for sure. And then like the whole Tommy Fury thing, it's like, do I want to watch like Tom Brady's cousin and like a pass, punt, and kick? Like I don't give a shit. It's not Tom Brady or like, you know what I'm saying? Like just the fact that it's the best boxer's brother, the last name. It's just I don't know. It didn't
Like you
ring
want to
home
see
with me.
Jackson Mahomes on Sunday?
Yeah, exactly. Am I trying to watch Jackson Mahomes throw a football? Like, does that do anything for me? No. And like, I'm not even like I swear that's like kind of an apples to apples comparison. Like real talk. Like does Steph Curry have some like stepbrother somewhere that I'm not trying to watch him shoot like in a 3-point contest? Like
Oh,
I just
Russell
don't give a
Westbrook's
shit.
brother. Russell Westbrook's brother's best example of all time. Ray Westbrook.
Yeah, who's like 5'8", 260, and just like tears the clubs in Oklahoma City up. And I good for him. But like I'm just saying,
Found a
exactly. Do
niche.
I
Found
want
a
to
niche.
watch him run a pick and roll? Like not anytime soon. And like I don't know, maybe leave a comment if you like saw Tommy Fury as something other than what I'm describing. But that's how I saw it. So this one, like I said, this one didn't do much for me. Now I did view it as like the bridge that got us to Paul Diaz, which I'll fully and I hope we still get. Like that will be the first one I buy straight up. If Paul fights Diaz, I'll buy it. I'll spend money on it. And I thought this was going to be the fight that got us there. So yeah, there's two guys that didn't watch a second of the fight. We're not going to really dive X's and O's, but we can't talk. It was a cultural impact. Like for a second, if I work at a restaurant, there was people like coming in like ordering food for the fucking Jake Paul fight, and next door at the sports bar, like watching the
Zaz,
Jake.
take
Like
home.
it was a cultural like event. Like I'll tell you this much: nobody ever was in the restaurant was talking about any other boxing fight. You know what I mean? Like ever.
Yeah,
Like
right. Yeah, right.
and
Like,
I'm
well,
not saying that
and
tongue in
and
cheek. Like I've never had people come in like, oh, got to get this beers before the fights, like talking about anybody other than Jake Paul. So like,
well,
you
and
can act like it doesn't matter.
the
But
appeal is not to like boxing heads, which is like smart because that market's not really that big.
yeah, no, you're right. Like I said, it's like a broader like people are acting like I won't go as far as to say Super Bowl, but like like I said, I worked next door to a sports bar. Like it was a popping, like it was a thing. Like it was a thing. It mattered. Like it was. So like I said, so. But that being said, Paul's first loss. I mean, we'll get straight to it. How do you feel about that? Yeah, like I said, as two guys who didn't watch the fight, just kind of like the ramifications, the perception versus reality. You know, how did you feel about? Like, how do you feel about it? Yeah, how do you feel about Paul as a one-loss boxer? I guess is the question I'll ask you.
Well, I mean, okay, if we're gonna be real, I think that Jake or Tyson, goddamn, never that much credit. Tommy Fury's boxing record of his opponents coming into this was something like 8-120.
Like it seemed fake. Like it seemed like a troll.
Yeah,
Stat,
like if you made
stat.
that up, I'd be like, bro, that's like a crazy exaggeration. Like, can we make it like you say 75-12? Like that sounds like a crazier,
Yeah.
like a more believable but still exaggerated number. It's unbelievable. So for Jake Paul to lose to him, who Tommy Fury is only a boxer, it kind of tells me that Jake Paul, hey man, like you got to put some respect on this game, what it is, how it works, and I don't think there's much left for him except for celebrity YouTube fights. I don't see real boxers ever fighting him after that loss.
Yeah, right. That's what makes it so tough. Thank you. I agree. I'm going to echo a lot of what you just said. But yeah, so it was the first, like, I don't really even consider it your first real boxer, but like, whatever. Let's check the box for the sake of checking the box. It was a boxer. He's kind of technically 0-1 in boxing matches, like in a way. You know what I'm saying? Against
right.
boxers, like, so that's like me if I go play somebody in a game of skate who like doesn't skate. Am I really gonna pat myself on the back? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not really.
Well, it's
So
like it's like if you're going up against rugby players in football games, that have just learned the sport of football, and then all of a sudden you go against a football team that's like football players. It's like, oh, you get smashed because it's a different game with a different rule set, and they're trained in that rule set particularly.
So yeah, for sure.
They're close, but they're not the same.
First off, I don't think much has changed. See, this is where I'm going to kind of break away from what you said, because you said like, oh, the boxer thing is over. Was this ever an actual boxing career? Like I said, would he have fought some like unranked like Ukrainian or like, you know what I mean? It was always going to be celebrity fights.
Well, if he got to 15-0, he would have to start fighting really real people, because at that point you're like, that's a real boxing record.
Okay. I think that's just too many steps ahead for me.
Yeah, well, that's 10 fights. You know what I mean? Like, I would never see him winning 10 fights, especially in celebrity matchups where, like, he's going to start getting overmatched against good boxers that want to take him out once he makes any sort of, like, small... Like, if he had beaten Tommy Fury here, maybe he climbs up the level and gets, like a C-class boxer. You know what I'm saying? Like, upper-tier C-class boxer. And then the minute if he does eke out that win, then an A-class boxer's like, I'm going to tune him up.
See, and like the main reason I'm not like I don't view things too differently now as I did when I woke up this morning is like I still think the Nate Diaz fight like works, right?
Yeah,
I still think it could work, and that's all I really thought this was going to get us to anyway, right? So the Diaz fight could still happen. Like I don't know if I could see Paul doing bare knuckle, but I'll say this as a guy who's watched some bare knuckle, like. He can compete with that level of guy, right? Like, and it gets interesting because he's in some kind of deal, but like structured deal, like something to do with the PFL. So, and he, doesn't have the high school wrestling background.
So he has to keep fighting for PFL because he's in their pay-per-view division. So, like he has to fight.
Is MMA on the table? Is MMA on the table? Like, do you think Paul? If you had to bet. Paul ever take an MMA match? I think that's still on the table.
I think
potentially work.
Yeah, I think in maybe 3 years though. Like
the only thing that's weird about MMA is that it has weight classes. Not that boxing doesn't, but I don't think it works doing an MMA fight.
Well,
40 pounds. I don't think you could do that.
So he weighed in. He weighed in at 184 for this fight. So like he perfectly would slot in at 185.
Yeah, for sure. Middleweight, 6'2", yeah.
But I also don't know that he cuts weight like a serious professional. Like, I think he's a 170-pounder. If I actually look at his body, his frame, his size. Like, I know he's big, but, like, if he's walking around at even 205, probably more so a 170-pounder.
Yeah, especially with the way the UFC cuts are. But, a lower level PFL guy. Are they cutting 50 pounds? You know what I mean? It's not Alex Pereira at the bottom end of PFL.
Well, the
So
PFL
like, I
guys,
don't.
I don't think do because they're like fighting a season with a tournament at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. So, oh man, like I said, I guess we'll wrap this up and get to these prelims. But I guess, and this isn't even me trying to play with kid gloves. It's more to say where I viewed it to begin with was already kind of low. But also, the statement still stands that like I don't feel that much differently about Jake Paul now than I did, 48 hours ago, because I never really like we were playing real fast and loose with the term boxer. You know what I'm saying? And I think he can still do what he was doing. I said I still think the Nate Diaz fight works. Could they find him some absolute can for him to fight in MMA in the PFL? And could he land a right hand? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? Maybe. So it's like all these things are still kind of on the table. Like I don't know what really changed. For anybody that was like, "Oh, this proves Jake Paul's not a real boxer," like, yeah, that's not like the question I was really trying to answer. Like, I don't know.
I just feel like all of our suspicions got proven right about his level of boxing, in one sense, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's one way of saying it for sure. Like I said, if your bar was already set low, then like I said, are you disappointed? Like, you know what I mean? If
yeah,
you,
I'm not disappointed. It just kind of proves what they are, who we thought they were. You know what I mean? That
yeah,
famous NFL rant. Like, it's one of those
that's our,
things
that's
where it's
our,
like if you like the guys that have lost to him, low key maybe like they're not real boxers. But if Tommy Fury had lost to him, that he would be saying like they are who we thought they were. Like if he had gotten robbed in this fight.
yeah, and it like, but also let me ask you this: if Paul would have beat Will Fleury, does that be like, oh yeah, he's a legit boxer now? Like that's why
No,
I'm saying like
no, no,
that
no. But it
people.
does say like he's ready to take on a legit boxing path, like to start on that path.
Yeah, we're talking about talking and meeting about meeting here. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, but I'm just
I just
saying, like I said, like 9 fights after that, undefeated, climbing the ranks, he would actually be in like a legitimate boxing spot.
and if I fucking hit a 14 legger next week, we're going to Cancun. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Right.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Right. Like the chances are literally less than fucking like a million of a percent, I think. But it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. Let's get to these prelims, bro. It's a weird card. Main event fell through. We'll talk that at the start of the next video, though. We'll get kind of on the beaten path here, and I'm gonna get a stroke if I keep these on.
Honestly, kind of a
But
filler card. I felt like once this main event fell off, especially a lot of filler here because the card next week, like this card was meant to kind of if you're gonna watch, entertain you, but really sell you on this. Dude, they ran the John Jones promo so many times.
see, that most of Twitter agrees with you. People were not stoked on this card. Maybe I'm a mark, but I actually thought it was fine for a fight night. Like maybe my fight night expectations have gotten low. Also, like, you know what I mean? When there's like what 48 cards a year, like it's not people try to compare it to the old days when there was 12 cards a year or 8 cards a year and they were stacked to the gills. Like it's a fight night card. I guess by that is definition of filler, but especially before the main event got pulled, I was cool with it. Like I said, even to get the name like Ode Osbourne on the prelims, hell to a lesser extent Joe Selecki.
See, I think the
You know,
prelims featured better name value matchups for being the prelims than the main card did. Like,
yeah,
I thought the
Jordan
main card
Leavitt.
name value was missing.
You know what though? This might age well. Like we'll talk about it, but
You know
Mallet
what?
may go
Well,
on to
I will say
Mallet may
Tatiana
go on to be a
Suarez.
guy,
I
and
think
Suarez. Nobody,
we'll get there. I think
Suarez
she's future
factor.
champ. So like, that's already one thing.
That fight mattered a lot. Like that was a
Oh,
big
it's
fucking
her
deal.
return.
So that's what I'm saying. I feel like to be like, oh, this card, blah blah blah. Like, I don't know. You got to factor that in, and then like
Like Sakai used to
Sakai
be
Mays,
ranked.
exactly. Like I've watched cards where he was the co-main, and then like Alan Muniz as a co-main on a fight night is a heater. Like now that being a main event, it gets a little weird. But I
Yeah,
just didn't
not
understand the
quite a main event, but a heater co-main. I agree with that
yeah.
take.
Yeah, yeah. So, like I said, even before the main event got yanked, people were on Twitter bitching about this card. I kind of disagreed. After the main event gets yanked, you're entitled to feel how you're going to feel. But let's dive into these prelims, man. We got the debut, I believe, of Narulo Aliyev out of Tajikistan. 8-0, 22 years old, minus 180 favorite over Rafael Alves, plus 155 at lightweight. It's pretty dope. They were showing like a soccer stadium full
Bro, he
of
sold out. Like, that was crazy.
all of in Tajikistan watching the fight, where I imagine is like the middle of the night over there, or it could have been a convenient time of day.
3 a.m. They said 3 a.m. after.
3 a.m. and it was packed to the gills, thousands of people. So I mean, hey, that's legit. That's cool. Now, granted, we'll get to it. This guy's a piece of shit, least favorite fighter ever. And then Rafael Alves, perfect entry level debut. Like Alves, is a dangerous guy, but is a beatable guy. So I think that's like the perfect way to introduce like a hotshot prospect to. Fight takes place in the lightweight division. I think every fight on the card was in the lightweight division. Obviously, that's exaggeration.
Dude, there were like 7 lightweight fights.
Yeah, it was like a PFL card where they just do like a weight
like
class,
a tournament. Like we're gonna have matchups for days.
Yeah, exactly. I think everybody on this essentially was like a shitty preseason tournament. Yeah, I mean, we got to get to it. You can't talk about round one. Aliev bit Alvez's fingers. I believe him. Like, I don't think Alves was like aljoing his fingers. Like, and Mark Smith said, I saw the bite marks. Like Mark Smith, and also I've never seen Mark Smith hate a guy so much. And if Mark Smith hates you, I can't ride with you.
It's a dirty move. Like, it's classless to bite. Now, I will say, his argument was, he's putting his fingers in my mouth, which is also, I don't like that either.
Like, is that fish hook defense?
Well, and like, if you're putting your fingers in someone's mouth, what are you expecting them to do? Not bite down?
Yeah. So, and the camera angle was awful. Like, only those two boys and God know about what really happened. But bite marks are bite marks. If you're really out there biting people, can't have it. I mean, especially in your debut, right? I mean, it's not going to win over many fans.
How much did it really hurt, though, because they have a mouthpiece in? And I was thinking about that. Like, it hurts, but like.
Those bottom incisors right there, them incisors, bro? You trying to catch an incisor to the finger, the index finger, bro?
Yeah, and they probably don't have the straightest teeth as fighters. You know what I'm saying?
Jeez, a little soft.
Or where Alves or Aliev's from. They probably don't have the best dentistry. I'm just saying.
No, I gotta admit, there was a moment when Bisping was like, "There's 1,000 people in a field in Tajikistan." I died, bro. It sounded like whenever Chael would talk about Brazilians, like that's the energy that it like reminded me of. He's like, these people are out there, and then they showed it, and it's like a stadium,
like a nice stadium, like seats.
He's like, there's these people out here in the middle of a field in Tajikistan. I died. I was like, dude, that's Chael and Brazilians. Hilarious.
Bisping was having a night last night. Like whenever he's talking to Ode in the fight, we'll get there, but like. That was a moment for sure.
For sure, man. So, I mean, I scored round one 9-9 Aliev. Essentially, it's a draw, but it's essentially a 10-9 Aliev. There was a point deduction for the bite. No warning for that. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I don't think you deserve a warning for that. I think there's certain things that you do that, like, you don't get a warning. Like, that's just obvious. Like, you don't do that.
Yeah, and I mean, he won it pretty much based off, like, snoozy control, but Alves didn't really do shit but get bit. And then round two,
a lot of damage there.
Way more damage from Aliev by not biting, but the ground and pound was nice. Alves, this would be a continued trend of him jumping guillotine on an Eastern European guy and then proceeding to spend the rest of the round on his back. It's like, when will these guys learn?
Like the Eastern European guys, like they literally could bench press 225 with their neck. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to choke them out. It's like trying to choke out a horse. Like, good luck.
Yeah, and you do all right. Go for a mounted guillotine, which I think in the third round you went for a mounted guillotine, which is a decent adjustment. But to pour like a Dagestani or a Tajikistan or Kazakhstan guy on top of you, like, when will these Brazilians learn? Like, that's a real question. Like, I'm not even trying to, pull a chair over here. I'm not saying when will they stop feeding buses carrots. I'm saying when will they stop jumping guillotines on guys whose last name ended in V.
Dude, it's hilarious because, like, Russians are Brazil beaters. Like, every time there's a Russian versus a Brazilian, I swear the Russian wins.
No, but like I said, Alves didn't really give himself a chance. I think if he kept it on the feet with Aliev, it gets in.
Well, and he kept jumping the guillotine, too. It wasn't like Aliev was, like, shooting and he was catching him on a shot. It was like he was, like, jumping.
He was, like, taking himself down, essentially. Right. And it was just a bad look. More of the same in round three. Like I said, Alves got the mounted guillotine, which I said was a better decision, but then he gets reversed and ends up spends the rest of the round on his back, rinse and repeat, right?
He got the big knee and then jumped guillotine after he got him hurt. He pretty much e-gayed himself. Like, keep striking him.
I know we may have to change it to Alves, but there's like 20,000 Alves, so we'll keep it as e-gaying yourself. But I think he for sure e-gayed himself.
And when Aliev did get into the mounted guillotine, he did a great job. Looked just like Volk, pushed on the hips, kind of popped his head down, got just underneath it enough to relieve that pressure, got out of the choke, then reversed it, got to that top position, and essentially went Dagestani work for the last 2 minutes and just heavy ground and pound in the last 45 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I liked about Aliev's style. I mean, it was like, it wasn't snoozy. Like, the ground and pound was like active and heavy and often.
Now, you know what's weird?
What's that?
One judge scored the first round to Alves.
I'll say if there was a round to give to Alves, it's one, right? And
agreed.
Like a lot. So not egregious. Don't hate it, but I didn't see it that way. Neither did you. I think we had arrived at the same conclusion as the other two judges, 29-27. So it ends up being a majority decision because of the one screwy ref that you're talking, or the judge that you're talking about, and it ends up being a 28-28 draw. So he ends up with the majority decision. I agree with that. Aliev won. He looked good. The bite, like I said, the bite's not going to win you any fans, but
what's unfortunate is he was not terrible on the mic either. For a guy that you don't know from Eastern Europe, very good English for the most part. However, can't bite in the fight and have me like you, so already out the window. So sorry. And then also calling for 50 G's on that performance?
On a borderline snoozy decision with a foul?
G's. I'll never give you 50 G's because you asked for it on some bullshit. So now when you do deserve it, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, Aliev, not the most likable guy, but like a likable skill set for sure. We can keep it pushing. To Joe Selecki, -520, taking on late minute replacement Carl Deaton, +410 dog. And I gotta say, bro, like sometimes when they get these late minute replacement guys off the local circuit in Topeka, Kansas.
Bro, they got the guy out the local Circle K. What do you mean?
Yeah, Circle K in Omaha, Nebraska. Like you could he had the braided mullet, questionable tattoos.
Oh my
you could
God.
just like
he was like a boss. He was like a boss in an off-brand fighting game.
Like whenever you you have a backup on Madden who like they don't have like any of the details correct and it's like no swag and it's just
he's like a Red Dead boss. You know what I'm saying?
It just looked like yeah, this guy. You didn't have to tell me he was a late replacement, Bixby. I could have put that together.
Like I don't think Dana was signing him eagerly. And he's also +410. I think that speaks to that as well.
He looked like a guy that would be fighting against the guy they're looking at on Dana White looking for a fight. You know what I'm saying?
He looked like the fodder. He looked like the fodder for like a beast.
State Fair in Missouri, but
lightweight, there's a lot of monsters out there, and they honestly gave him a pretty fucking monstrous lightweight in Joe Selecki. I love Selecki's grappling, super technical with his takedowns and his jiu-jitsu, and I think that was on full display here in this fight. Now, I think his fight IQ wasn't too good here in this first round.
Well, I was about to say, we've had a little fun here with Deaton, and I mean, shout out to him. He got his opportunity, he made, it's fine. Like, we were just having a little fun. He's an extravagant looking guy. But, like, what I'll say is, man, he made it harder on Joe. He made this fight closer than it was supposed to be. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Like the submission defense, the competitiveness, just being kind of fundamentally sound defensively. At least he really got zero offense off the whole fight. So it's hard to give him too much praise, but I'll say he made Selecki work for it, and he kind of wasn't supposed to.
I thought he defended his neck really well while Selecki was on his back, and when he was in standing in the standing triangle, Selecki was burning his legs out, and you could tell.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He made Selecki go to plan B, plan C. You know what I mean? He didn't just
made him work hard as hell for it.
No, I totally agree. I mean, yeah, in round one, he had his back the whole round. Really no damage. And, Deaton was just defending the chokes the whole round from that standing triangle position. So 10-9 Selecki can't score anything for Deaton, but it was kind of impressive, right?
Yeah, and then, I took away from it, if Deaton can defend a takedown, then he has a chance in this fight. And if he does get taken down, it's not as dangerous that I think he's going to get instantly finished. So if he gets to if he can defend it for 3 minutes and then get taken out with 2 minutes to go, probably can survive. Now, that being said, the opposite happens. It's like he gets taken down quicker.
Funkmaster Selecki just snoozily takes the back for literally 4 minutes and 55 seconds. The entire round, like legitimately Aljamain Sterling style. And we say that tongue in cheek. Obviously super effective, but just like really not getting any damage off, just going for subs. Eventually gets one. Yeah, I mean, so like it took him essentially 9 minutes and 55 seconds to sub the late minute, dog park fighter. He's a minus 520. I don't know. I didn't think it was a great performance from Joe Selecki. I know that sounds nitpicky. It was boring as fuck. He got the finish. It reminds me very much of a fight that takes place later on the main card, and we'll get to that. It's like you get the finish, second round.
Oh, I know exactly what fight you're talking about. I know exactly.
Yeah, and we'll get to it. Kind of parallels there, except for one mattered a whole lot more than the other one. I don't know, dude. Like, how do you feel about Joe Selecki in the lightweight division?
I like him, but I don't get the killer vibe from him like I do a lot of those young lightweights, man. Like, even Terrence McKinney, I think, can, like, tune up Joe Selecki if he could defend one takedown.
It's just so much. It's effective, but it's just not, like, it's not Killer Instinct. It's just,
or like Dober or Dawson, like, those guys are tuning him up. And those are your back end, those are your 14, 15 guys. And I don't see him as really close to them right now.
And, like, after just watching Aliev fight, like, I kind of like Aliev against him. He's going to reverse a couple of those positions. He's way more active from the grappling, attacking-wise. So, I don't know. Maybe you match those two up. But, yeah, I mean, gets the win, gets the finish, gets a bonus because every fighter that got a finish got a bonus. So, Selecki got the bonus.
I wanted to bring something up about that. Glad you said that. I thought that the bonuses last week were like people were deserving of bonuses that didn't get them last week, and I think we were calling for them, if I do recall. Or maybe it was UFC 284.
No, there's been a couple. He's been real stingy with the bonuses the past couple cards, and then hands out like unwarranted bonuses on this card. I totally thought the same thing. That thought crossed my mind. Like,
okay,
I don't know if he's trying to make up for it, or
I definitely, when I saw like every fighter that got a finish got a bonus, I was like, wait, where's the? How do we decide on that? Like, how do we decide that? Because some of these finishes I didn't think were the best finishes, so I was like, these aren't even the best collection of finishes.
Like tax law or anything, but like maybe it's like quarter one's about to end. Maybe they have to pay out X amount of dollars in bonuses to like get certain tax breaks. I don't know. That's what it reminds me of, like a sleazeball reason. Not just that Dana really loved these finishes. I don't know. I feel like there's some lawyer sleazeball reason behind it.
That would be so great. I would love that so much.
You know what I'm saying? Like we have X amount of bonuses to give out in quarter one, and it's almost over, so we got to start handing them out.
Like, hey, sorry about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we'll keep it pushing. Like I said, I just don't see Joe Selecki mattering in the big picture of the division all that much. Like I said, I'm not convinced he could beat the Aliev guy that fought before him. But we'll keep it pushing. This next fight, I was like legit excited for.
I thought this fight mattered in this division too.
It does, and like nobody really was talking about it. I honestly, I was telling my wife as we were watching this that like I have no clue why this fight was even on the prelims. Like, there's like multiple fights on the main card that this could have easily replaced. I mean, Ode Osbourne not currently ranked, but I mean he was ranked like not that long ago, like decently high, like 11 or some shit.
Right, and then Charles Johnson has like the hardest fight record.
Prospect and an insane amateur resume as well, like with the wrestling background and like a highly touted prospect, fought pretty well against Makayev. So it's
Olympic track backup, 2-2 in the UFC, 2-0 as a favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, a really good athlete. I mean, gave Makayev a good fight. And then they gave him some other just like murderer in his second fight. And I was like, damn, man, they don't give this guy anyone easy. And then finally they gave him Jimmy Flick, which...
he tuned up Jimmy Flick like a month ago.
Right. And I thought, like, okay, and here's the give a dog a bone kind of a thing. Now, Ode Osbourne, that is not a bone. You know what I'm saying? That is a full-on meal. You're going to have to earn that win. And, I mean, Osbourne was the minus 170 favorite, so that kind of made sense.
I'll say it. Ode, I think, made more, like, gains, like, between his last fight than Johnson did. You know what I mean? Like Ode looked so much better, like in the grappling, both defensive and fucking offensively. He was getting takedowns on Charles Johnson, stuffing takedowns, getting up from bottom. Like Ode, like really rounded out the skill set. Came in as like a striker that spent a bunch of time in Asia, and like Ode really rounded out his game, if you ask me.
All right, well, let's get into it because we do have a split decision here. So I want to see how you score it. I think I can kind of guess from that, but we'll see.
From the stroke job, yeah, for sure. Well, first off, round one was an absolute banger. It was like everything that I like wanted this fight to be. I did give it to Ode. The leg and body kicks were kind of like, in my opinion, like some of the most impactful shots of the round for either man. He got taken down, but was able to get up like way easier than I think our mind's eye thought it was going to look like. So, and I think I don't know. I liked Ode's work in that one. How did you see round?
So I thought round one was close. Charles Johnson ended the round with that quick takedown. Couldn't keep him down, but then did have a nice little flurry on the feet, got off some good damage. Now, Ode Osbourne won the first half of the round. Great leg kicks, great body work.
Yeah.
And Charles Johnson probably won the second half of the round, but I think the margins were much different, where I think Ode Osbourne won by a bigger margin in the first half. So I leaned to Ode Osbourne there. I thought tight round, but an Osbourne round. We scored it for him. Every judge scored it for him as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Now, round two, man, another war, man. This round was fucking awesome. It was entertaining.
I thought round two was close.
Oh, close, competitive. Impact. I mean, there's so much praise we could heap on this round for both guys. Started the round off with the low shots of Ode. I think Ode took like the whole 5 minutes.
4 minutes,
like
45 seconds.
Yeah, which we never see ever. And that's when you said he was talking to Bisping and shit.
He said the cup crushed down on him.
Yeah, obviously that has to be brutal. All things considered, though, I gave it to Johnson, man. Those elbows and knees and the head kick at the end.
The
like
knees,
I think
the head kicks, and the damage. Yes, sir. That's exactly
and then
what I have.
He did get a takedown, but Ode was able to get it. The takedown ended up being kind of inconsequential. But yeah, like, and I didn't look at the strike numbers, but it wouldn't surprise me if this was a round where Ode may have like had more significant strikes, but the damage and just the impact and
I believe Johnson edged him out by like 3 in this round, whereas Ode doubled him up in the first round.
Okay, yeah. So Johnson by damage, short story long, round two. I think we both agree on that.
Yeah, so 19-19. All the judges agree as well. All the judges had it 19-19. So we're on par with the judges. I think this fight, as close as it was, kind of had those winners in each round where it was like, these are winning moments.
For sure. But also, man, just like I said, Ode's defensive wrestling and even ability to get like
offensive
up
takedowns
from bottom, and he started to get his own takedown. Like Ode impressed the fuck out of me, rounding out his game.
Which speaking of the cardio, speaking of the offensive takedowns and the cardio was okay. We can get to that too because it's all round 3 where we see all that. It's the most pivotal round of the fight. It is where the judges end up splitting here because we do have a split decision, and obviously if they all score,
I do think it was the hardest round to score too. The closest round.
So hard to score. I thought the damage, honestly, just in a whole, was damn near equal. Now, the way we got there was super back and forth. Both guys were exhausted. Charles Johnson was trying for takedowns, could not get them for the life of him. Whereas Ode did get 1 or 2, I believe, in the round, which one early, one late. And I thought that was the difference.
The one late was the difference maker because it was just such an optics thing, right? Like, to be honest, if I was judging the damage in a vacuum, I think Johnson probably got a little more damage off in round 3.
You might be right, but yeah, you're right. You're right because I think the takedowns were the deciding factor, is what I wrote. So like those were the edging factor. It wasn't like he was going to tie. It was like he got over the edge with those.
He won the damage in a vacuum, right? But the fights don't take place in a vacuum. But like he lost so many other positions, and he just kind of generally eye test looked like shit. Like you're talking about cardio, he gassed. And like, just was kind of ineffective, right? Like, I mean, like I said, got some damage off mainly because Ode was exhausted too. So like the defense wasn't super great. But then was getting taken down. And like I said, it was really Ode's late takedown wasn't all that spectacular, but it was so like strategic and savvy and like fight IQ. Like he understood that the round was like up for grabs, and getting that takedown really kind of like, I don't know if you can say sealed the deal, but I mean, it sure as fuck didn't hurt him. You know what I mean? In the eyes of the judges and me and you, it sounds like.
You know what I think this fight was so good for? Establishing depth of the division at men's flyweight.
Yeah, which we've been talking about, man, which is exciting because that's the way that division's lacked the depth for so long.
Because both these guys could be top 15 or they could not be. But that's the point, is that we need the 15 through 25 to fill out and have solid guys.
Yeah, it's filling out real nice, man. It's filling out real nice, man. And also, I thought it was pretty cool seeing apparently Amir Al-Bazzi trains with Ode Osbourne. He was in his corner. So that's like,
probably where the wrestling is coming from.
Yeah, that's what I thought in my head too. I was like, you can tell he's been training with Al-Bazzi.
For sure.
Like, that's going to make you better. Like, you literally visually can see it, that he's been going with that kind of getting rounds with that style. Yeah, like I said, impressed the fuck out of me by Ode. Not like how wide of a margin he won by, but quite the opposite, that he was able to kind of squeak one out and like use some wrestling and some positioning and just he's learning how to win, right? It sounds kind of cliche. We talk about it's usually something you hear about like NFL quarterbacks, like learning how to win in that year 2, year 3, year 4 kind of progression. You usually hear that kind of term thrown around, like the progression of NFL quarterbacks, like a Jalen Hurts or like a, but I don't know. That's what I saw from Ode. Like, it wasn't all flash. Like, there was a little meat and potatoes there.
No, I mean, I my takeaway too, like, I was a little down on Ode coming into the fight. Honestly, like Johnson, I thought Johnson was riding a good wave of momentum, and I just liked his skill set, his athleticism. That all being said, Ode impressed the hell out of me. I think he's ready for another top 15 shot.
Yeah, like, exactly. Like, Ode Tyson Norm's an awesome fucking fight. Ode Sumu Darji, awesome fight. Like, guys like that. I mean, Ulan Bekov, you know, it's a different kind of matchup.
Ode Sumu Darji's fun. I like that fight.
No, that's sick. So totally. And it was a split decision. 2 judges for Ode, 1 to Charles Johnson.
Yeah, it's not much steam off of Johnson. I don't think it's much steam off Johnson, though.
No, and then Johnson's been real kind of excuse-y making on social media, which I don't love. But maybe there's some truth to it, but I still don't love it. But yeah, that being said, I think he'll be just fine moving forward. Let's keep him pushing, because once again, this is a fight that I had circled on my fight lineup, man. Jordan Leavitt versus Victor Martinez. Man, if you would have told me, 18 months ago that I would be like excited whenever Leavitt's fighting, I would have called you a liar. But I don't want to say he's like won me over, like I'm some big Jordan Leavitt fan, but he is interesting enough in his kind of career path and his finishes, and the Patty fight did him a lot of good, obviously.
I think that's the one that helped him the most, perception-wise, exactly.
Totally. But even like the big slam KO, we've always been kind of interested in him. He has good grappling. Starting to put the striking together with it.
The really hands are starting to come together.
Eccentric personality, weird guy, different guy, but like
weird body too,
right?
Like not shredded for 155. Like doesn't have much muscle definition.
Got the Cuba Gooding Jr. haircut, you know what I mean? It's just
terrible
a weird
hair. Terrible hair.
It's a mixed bag, but it like kind of works, right? Like in a weird way. Like it just, like I said, interesting, right? Like interesting can mean a lot of things, but
he's like the dude. I don't know. He's like the dude that's like the Dungeons and Dragons master that like tells you all about it, and you're like, damn, that sounds pretty cool. And then the guy's like, yeah, I've been doing it for 12 years straight with the same group. And you're like, well, that doesn't sound cool.
But taking on Victor Martinez in his debut, Victor Martinez, the ever so slightest of favorites at -115. Jordan Leavitt at -105. Literally a coin flip.
Love the Leavitt value.
The Leavitt value. I was like, I didn't bet this week, but this would have been one I was hammering. Taking place at lightweight because, like I said, it's like a PFL card, all lightweight fights. Also, talking about Leavitt, awkward vibe, right? Does some quirky things, right?
God, he's
the
weird.
Pleasure P walkout song?
Bro.
When's the last time you heard Pleasure P?
That's
who it was. I think it was Pleasure P.
Like maybe freshman year of high school, we were like fucking around. That's
what I'm saying. I heard fucking Pleasure P since I was in the back of a 05 Chevy Cavalier.
Right. Right. Like, I don't know why he chose that song even.
I did, if it was anybody else, like, it was just so on brand. Like, if it's like gonna make you feel uncomfortable and like second guess a couple things and like hit a couple of these look arounds, like,
is he straight?
Like Like, is it just? I don't know. It's becoming a thing that, like I said, at first I was so kind of just I didn't know what to make of it. Like, count me in for the awkward Jordan Leavitt like walkouts and interviews, and just turn the awkward up to 11.
Bro, he's so weird. He's so funky.
He is. He's a weird guy. But that being said, I mean, there's only so much that can be said about walkouts and interviews because gets his first ever career knockout. He said he never got one in amateurs or local scene or nothing. Never knocked a human being out, I don't think, in training. He said he's never knocked anyone out. I mean, not too much to Bush to beat around here. Because, I mean, he relatively close, but he was kind of piecing up Martinez on the feet,
I thought it was
nobody saw coming.
Like really good kicks, dodging punches, kind of countering back, nice 1-2s. Was eating some 1-2s though as well. Was eating some 1-2s.
Like the striking is not elite and will probably never be elite, but like
the threat of his grappling helps. Yeah. Oh, yeah, way better than we thought.
Better. Yeah, he said the body kicks were like legit. Like those were good body kicks.
And
like,
he seems really strong in the clinch. So like if he gets better clinch striking, which he clearly did have down well in this fight, like if that continues, that becomes a new weapon.
Well, and that's an old school move, right? We'll get to it. The tie clinch knees to the head. I mean, that's something you used to see a lot more of. What was it, 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, and then dudes learned how to defend it.
Yeah, it was like more, that traditional martial arts, like it was pure Muay Thai. Like, essentially wasn't even MMA at that point. I mean, it was because he was mixing in the grappling, but in that exact sequence, that exact position, it was like pure Muay Thai, knees to the head. 3 of them clean. I'll be real.
The second one had him out. The third one was just like brutal assault that woke him back up.
Late stoppage, right? Fair to say late stoppage?
Late. I thought there were 2 late. I thought there were 2 late stoppages, and it's going to be on this prelims, the second one, and it's that one's like you watch that show on like Instagram Reels on like a censored post, like that's how the finish on the featured prelim looks.
Because you're right, there was 3 knees. I thought the fight was over after the second one.
Me too.
I mean, he went limp after the first one.
Right.
And there was ground and pound after the third one.
Right.
So like even like it was late, like. Definitely late. That being said, I mean, hard not to be pretty stoked on a guy like Leavitt because you're right. A lot of guys are going to know how to defend that position, but like I said, his first ever knockout, that's going to do something for the confidence. Like I said, even prior to the knockout, the striking was looking way better. We know he has the grappling, like a killer, but like
once again, like, another guy that's a great 15 through 25 guy.
Actually. Selecki Leavitt would probably be boring, but it would be like high level. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Or
like
they might strike. Like when you put 2 grapplers against each other and they just decide, "Fuck it, I'm going to strike. Like, I'm not getting it."
After what I saw, might favor Leavitt.
Right, like kind of a favorable matchup. Wouldn't have been a bad call out if he'd asked for it.
That's interesting. Like I said, I'm not. I mean, I've been very kind to Leavitt. He said I'm not going to shovel too much coal. Mainly. Honestly, if we're being real, if he was in a different division, but lightweight, I mean, even the back end, the Grant Dawsons of the world, the Drew Dobers of the world.
Yeah, still too much for him.
Still too much. I totally agree.
Those guys are too much for Patty. And if Patty's too much for Leavitt,
what does that say about Patty, though? Because he was giving Patty a fight. Let's wrap this up talking Dober Patty rumors. Try to remember to remind me.
Oh, my God.
I know you've been seeing those.
We're going to see a Scouser go to sleep.
It seems like I agree. But anyway, Leavitt gets the knockout. 2 minutes, 33 seconds into the first round. Gets the bonus. Victor Martinez, I mean, you're down pretty bad getting knocked out by Jordan Leavitt. And then he goes on to talk in the interview about he never knocked anybody out before.
He was like stoked and shocked that he knocked him out. Like he was like wobbled him, was like, oh shit, I wobbled him, and like went for the finish. And I was like, God damn it, Jordan Leavitt.
And when it's like, and Victor Martinez was thought to have had the striking advantage coming into this one, and it's his debut, so it's like, oh, give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, what benefit of the doubt? I don't have any other body of work. I don't feel like getting no fight pass.
I got nothing. Look, what you know what I mean? Do in this cage. The same as the UFC's gonna watch it. You know what I mean? Like those UFC brass, like Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, like they go off your UFC performances once they sign you. They don't give a shit about what you did right before.
So, I mean, I don't know. I'm definitely kind of out on Victor Martinez. Shit can change. I mean, hopefully it does, but that's bad luck. keep it pushing, man. Jazz the Vicious, plus 105 in the flyweight division, taking on debut Gabriela Fernandez, minus 125 in the flyweight division. And this fight was frustrating as fuck, unless you're a Jazz the Vicious fan, because this new girl, Gabriela Fernandez, like Tyler Santos vibes, right? Just like
hands on
like
fire.
plus athlete. Like the amount of athleticism I mean, say what you want. Women's flyweight, you don't see like plus athletes. Like I said, the Tyler Santoses of the world, you can name them. They jump out. Like, I mean, even a Blanchfield, you can't say is like an elite at like fast twitch. You know what I'm saying? She's very, very good at what she does, but like fast twitch, explosiveness. I mean,
like Nunes, obviously explosive athlete. I would say Valentina, obviously explosive athlete. Zhang Weili, obviously explosive athlete. Like all the champions are explosive athletes. You kind of have to be.
But it is, man. The like fight IQ from Fernandez was like negative 1,000. Like
Bro.
I literally have like this like ratio written down in my notes of like plus athlete up, IQ down. Like it was just the classic like dumb jock. And I don't know if she's good at math or not. That's not what I mean by dumb jock, but like just the freak athlete that just it's like the freak athlete running back that can't see the hole and hit it, or the quarterback that runs a 4.4 but can't read a coverage. It's just the athleticism so far outweighs the neck up.
The freak receiver that runs straight line 40s at 4.3 but can't run a route and break out of his coverage to save his fucking life.
Yes, exactly. Like, and that's what gave it. With that's a double-edged sword, right? Like, obviously, we're saying the ceiling is high, the room for improvement's there. Like, she has some things that you can't coach and teach, right? Like, we're saying a lot of nice things, but also like they also
she's
like,
very green.
Kind of clean.
A lot of rookie mistakes.
So green.
You know what I mean? They look like it's rookie mistakes.
It's like kind of cliche, like I said, but like they say, like UFC is not the place to learn, man.
No. Because you get put on blast by people like this. And I don't hold Jazz Vicious that highly in the flyweight division. No offense to her. But I think she's a middle-tier flyweight.
Middle tier. Not a can, but middle tier. And like somebody of the athleticism and just natural talent of Fernandez should be able to beat. And Vegas agreed with that. Now, every round was almost identical. We can get into how you scored round 2, but like
yes, we can talk about scoring round 2, but round by round it's the exact same thing. So if we break down one round, assume that's all 3 because they are identical
to different degrees. Yeah, every round starts off with Fernandez absolutely tuning up Jazz the Vicious. I mean bombs, like flash wobbling.
Yeah,
Jazz the Vicious.
She was wobbled twice in the fight.
Yeah, and like landing clean, and then that's where you're like, oh my god, is this my new favorite female fighter? Like giving like Fioro vibes, right? Just insane power, insane athleticism, speed, striking just on point. But I mean, it's like unfair to call her an MMA fighter. Like she really is a striker. Like the grappling technique was like. Like I mean, am I overhyping that? Am I being too critical? Like it, like literally, like there was no shrimping, there was no underhooks, there was no get to the cage.
There was survival. There was survival. That's all it was. It was like survival without technique.
No sub attempts from the bottom. There were no sweep attempts from the bottom.
No, I will
like there was
Jazz
literally
Vicious,
nothing.
I don't think Jazz Vicious. She could have probably got a finish. I think.
Yeah, and honestly, round 2, if they would have stopped that, I mean, they wouldn't have been like crazy.
Yeah,
people.
I mean, Crucifix gets locked in late, eating elbows hard. That was
it
the
was
most
like
damage.
Blanchfield McCann-esque.
Right, and I mean, credit to Fernandez for escaping it at the very end, but like,
yeah,
it was close to it was close to getting finished, and that was like the only moment of the fight that ever felt like that.
Yeah. Now, granted, there was a couple other moments where she almost got that crucifix again, and like if she would have got it, it would have looked very similar.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. But like you said, it was rinse and repeat. Start the round getting beat up. Last like 3.5 minutes of the round in pretty dominant fashion. Like there's no argument for Fernandez in any round. I gave round 2 a 10-8.
I did as
But
well. I had 30-26, same as all the judges.
like, yeah, to get unanimous 30-26, you know how hard that is? To
The
get three
judges.
judges to score around a 10-8, like that means that it should have been stopped, honestly.
Yeah, because
It's
that means you got
all
your ass whooped from all three different angles.
no, totally. Like I said, man, I don't know how to feel about Fernandez because like on any given night, she could spark any of these girls' lights. Like, and I do mean almost any of them. Like,
The
it,
hands are crisp, and if a girl doesn't have a good wrestling game that has to fight her, that's what they need to give her is a match with a girl that doesn't have great wrestling, but is it also a good striker? And like let's watch her work.
yeah, because I mean the striking and the athleticism and the
Give her
power and the
Molly
speed is
McCann.
like it's like fun. It's like exciting. Like I like whenever she would swing, I would be like on the edge of my seat. Like
I
it was
mean,
fucking
it would be an insult to Molly McCann to have her fight Fernandez, obviously, but a super fun fight.
and I understand what you're saying there by the matchup. That'd be a fun matchup for sure. Um and then I mean, we've talked all about, Fernandez or lack thereof. I mean, Jazz the Vicious, I mean, she performed outstanding. Like I said, I'm not even going to be too hard on her because round two, it's one of those things where, like, all right, if I didn't get the finish there, then I'm not going to be an idiot and gas myself or get reversed. Or, I'm just like, I thought she was actually kind of smart to not go for the finish in round three, even though that sounds like super lame to say. But, like, seriously, like, if round two, if that didn't get the finish, then all right, let's win a decision tonight. Like, I get it. Like, she performed very great. Had ate some of those shots, right? Like showed her chin.
Good chin, good chin. I thought good chin.
McCann has no fight booked. I thought I saw something on social media about McCann having a fight booked. Maybe Tapology's not into it yet, but
see, what's unfortunate though is the Jazz the Vicious McCann fight not as fun.
No, it's not.
I also think Molly probably KOs her because I think she's just has a better fight IQ.
I'm trying to think. Is Hannah Goldie still in the UFC, or is she just like an OnlyFans model now?
Well, there's another flyweight women's fight here that comes up later in the card, and I think the loser of that fight could be a good matchup for Jazz Vicious.
Okay, fair play. I agree with that. Let's get to Eric Gonzalez, Trevor Peek. We're Eric Gonzalez plus 160 taking on Trevor Peek in his debut, minus 190. Surprise! We got some men's lightweights here.
Bryce Mitchell, thick.
Bro, I was about to say, striker Bryce Mitchell has entered the chat. It's this crazy fucking redneck who looks like he'd be on Theo Vaughn's podcast, and like he'd be on Theo Vaughn's podcast. Like I don't know, like
he's like oh gosh, don't say that redneck. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like the woods redneck.
Alabama redneck to be specific. Dude, this guy, I don't know. Like, I literally I might need to watch it again, but probably not because it's just like, it was over. I was like, well, A, that was awesome. What the fuck do I do with this information? C, like, what did I even just watch? Like,
you pretty much watch the guy bully beat down and just throw the most wild hammer shots and then consistently get taken down and give up his back, stand up, get away, continue to throw wild hammers, get too close throwing continuous haymakers, then would get headlocks and try to throw headlocks, miss them, go down to the ground, get back up, and then finally the hammer started connecting hard enough to wobble Gonzalez. Gonzalez showed crazy chin because he was getting hit hard.
Is it fair to say there was little to no technique
when it comes
to Trevor Peek? It literally, I think even was it Dominic Cruz who said this looks like the back of a Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that.
Someone's 12-piece got stolen. I have my fucking 12-piece down there.
Yeah, we've all seen a Trevor Peek fight at some kind of bonfire party
and he, by his own admission, says that he street fighting is his best martial art. And the way he throws the forward hammer fists and shit, I was like, this looks like a street fighter.
Yeah, I feel like every high school from fucking Oklahoma to Alabama has a Trevor Peek. We all know a Trevor Peek. It's
I think in the 80s he would have been a tough man champion.
Yeah, or just he reminds you of a bad guy from the original Roadhouse, not the Conor McGregor remix, but I don't know, just I don't know. Like, I'm legitimately asking, like, what do you do with, like, do you think highly of Trevor Peek? Like, what do you do with the Trevor Peek? I mean, I guess let's get the rabbit out of the hat here. I mean, round one KO, 4 minutes and 59 seconds. Probably should have been 4 minutes and 45 seconds. This is the other late stoppage you're talking about.
Oh, dude.
You
It was brutal, this stoppage. Like, why'd you make him hit him on the fence? He was done when he
like,
dropped him.
I don't think there was an X or an O to this fight, but you already broke down the X's and O's as far as the wild punches to the headlocks to the get ups.
And
It
then
was really awesome.
The savagery of Peek, by the way, at the finish, to not only drop the man, but look at him and draw hammer fist and be like, nope, this isn't going to be enough. And then throw uppercuts standing to a guy on the ground like, hey, thanks, man. That's very vicious.
Violence level out of 10.
Yeah,
Entertainment level out of
God.
10. Like, interesting level out of 10. But, like, technique at a 1. Like, it's just like, what do you do with
He's
that?
like a
Even
zero technique
athleticism,
Gaethje. Like, even when he would throw kicks, like, he would, like, literally, like, stand there and, like, eat punches and, like, load up a leg and then be like, ah, and, like, unleash, like, a power bomb. I was like, Jesus Christ, dude.
and like standing hammer fists, right? Especially we're talking. So this guy's a welterweight. I don't know if we made or no, a lightweight. Some of these techniques we've seen in like sloppy heavyweight fights, right?
Yeah.
Like a Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, or like some of these guys.
Tall guys, like Johnny Walker might throw it because they're so much taller than you that hammer fist comes down way harder at a better angle. I get that, and like the power differential, like when those shots are coming, heavyweights and light heavyweights can knock each other out with any punches, really. So, but a lightweight, to your point, we don't ever see that shit. We see technical striking, and we did not see that here.
And it's like that. There's a reason for that. It's weird. Like I said, it worked so well, but it like shouldn't have. And like also Eric Gonzalez is also like, I don't think anybody's like has him rated very highly. So it's like, I legitimately like, I don't think that works. Like everything that I've come to know about the sport of mixed martial arts, like that shit shouldn't work.
Yeah, that's how I'm glad you say that, man, because that was my legitimate thought throughout watching the fight was like, am I watching a guy like sully mixed martial arts with like just no technique and just bully beatdowning another guy because he's just tough and powerful? Like, I was really surprised, like very surprised.
Definitely a dog. Definitely needs a wheelbarrow to carry his nuts around.
Definitely a guy I don't want to fight in a bar either.
Yeah. Like I'm
bar nightmare.
I'm super glad never been at the same Buffalo Wild Wings with this guy. But like, I just don't know what to do with that. Like, you know how I feel about Patty, and I think Patty probably triangles him in the first round. So it's like
him and Patty fight's fun.
It's fun, but like you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do with that skill set in this division, lightweight?
You have him fight oh dude, make him fight like a Jared Gordon.
See, is it crazy? Like, or talk about like Jordan Leavitt, right? Just because he's on my page right in front of me, right? Another unranked lightweight. There's a scenario where he knocks out Jordan Leavitt for sure.
Oh, I know. Oh, definitely a scenario. Sorry, Titus is barking because
I was about to say your dog kind of barks like our 10-piece Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's got that low gruff grumble. There's too many beers in him. Or
like a Selecki definitely out wrestles him. Like, I don't know what you do because I mean, Eric Gonzalez, you could argue like isn't really like UFC caliber for real. So it's like I don't know.
I don't like a Terrence McKinney.
I guess if you just like Trevor Peek's teeth,
Michael Johnson.
Dude, now if you're talking fun, you want to have some fun.
I sold him. I found a name.
You want to watch a 3-minute fight?
Yeah, I do.
Hey, all right. You sold me with the MJ. Fuck
hey, let me get the 34-ounce cord.
Also, Eric Gonzalez, 3-fight L streak. This last L before this was Terrence McKinney, so that's funny that you say that. No, that you say. I mean, lost to some hard fighters. Lost to Jim Miller. Made his debut against Jim Miller. That's fucking tough. Debut against, and then you get Terrence McKinney, but he got choked out by Terrence McKinney. And I mean,
he got
known
dropped.
as a striker.
He got dropped and then choked out.
And then Trevor Peek, he's 0-3 in the UFC. Yeah, we never watch Eric Gonzalez again for sure. I may watch him. King of the Cage is coming to the El Dorado up the street. I may see him over there.
Hey, let's
I'm trying.
go.
Yeah, I'm trying to go watch that for sure. But yeah, so it's like Peek still hasn't made his debut. Like that was essentially a Contender Series fight.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt. That was like a high level Contender Series fight, in which it wasn't high level. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I was about to say,
like
yeah,
the
or
stakes,
not.
like the stakes, like what the assumed matchup was like considered. Like if this was a Contender Series, it'd be like these are two guys we would be excited to have in the UFC.
That being said, this motherfucker's undefeated, dude. He hasn't made it to a third round.
Are they just all KOs or does he have any submissions?
All KOs.
Dude, this is like street version Justin Gaethje. That's literally what we have in our hands.
Like,
Give him Michael Johnson. Give him Michael Johnson. I want
Let's
it.
go.
I want
Let's
it.
go. I want it. I want it back.
And if they're
what
big
the
on
fuck?
Peak, if they like him, that's a good person to get a little bit of clout off of.
Oh yeah, he's fun, dude. He's gonna make some fucking like some goddamn like QAnon Instagram posts and shit. It'll be awesome.
Oh, I can't wait for the Westboro posts.
But well, I was telling you to remind me something at the end of this. What the fuck are we gonna talk about at the end of this? Oh shit. There was something I wanted to talk about at the end of the episode.
Jones and this being like a filler card?
I don't think that was it. It's all good. It's all good.
It'll come to us. We'll get to it.
Yeah, for sure, man. But that wraps up the Jake Paul / prelims portion of this episode 120 of the Beefy Boys Breakdown. We'll be back in just a minute with the main card.